Hey folks, good morning and welcome back to the channel. My name's Happy Catty Crypto, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. We just try and keep it as realistic as possible here. None of this kind of FOMO stuff, none of this kind of clickbait and leading you up to something and overhyping things. Just really kind of getting out what's current with most things and then staying in touch a lot with the Lunar Classic community. And we run a validators node, so if you feel like delegating with us, it really does help us out. And it's the same for hitting the like button, dropping a comment. It really does help the channel grow. So there's this new proposal that's gone up, and I've taken note of this proposal just because it's very simple. It outlines a set of ideas that they want to put forward, and with these kind of proposals, you need to always remember that these four proposals shouldn't come in one single governance vote. They should be broken down. From what I can tell, looking through, reading through, then checking the comments, Defunk aims to put it out in 4 individual proposals. What do we know about Defunk? Well, we know he's been around, or she's been around since the collapse. Before the collapse, they're quite well known in the community. Now, they wrote quite a few proposals out previously, and there was ones to do with burning the community pool, but basically burning 50% of the community pool. You'll remember that.
I'm only burning my half.
That one, and that will kind of jog your memory as to who Defunk is. Now, that proposal never got followed through. Thank goodness. A lot of people would like to see that happen, but ultimately we've got to be able to pay the bills. We've got to be able to keep the lights on for the system. So, like I said, this is not so much a proposal that everybody's going to agree with, because anything that outlines these 4 things, which is to increase the demand via staking by enhancing staking rewards, 2, to increase the developer funding by increasing community pool funding, 3, to decrease supply by increasing burns, and number 4, to increase chain utility and volume by whitelisting smart contracts. Now, we're going to go through these, but what I see here is tax increase, tax increase, tax increase on the burn scale.
You've got 17.5% in T-bills.
Meaning that we're getting hit as holders. Whilst, and remember, if this goes through, and this is something that I'm very against, because once you allow it for one person or one project, you've got to then start allowing it for all these other different projects. And the whole point is to get people using Lunar Classic, utilizing it and providing to the sustainability of the blockchain instead of just kind of taking all the time. When you whitelist smart contracts to make sure that they're not going to get hit by the burns and things like that, it's a dangerous, slippery slope. And it can just lead to so many different things. And like I've been saying, in the end, you're just going to have to, more or less, anybody who doesn't want to contribute to the burns, you're going to have to give them that option, because it's not fair for us to go, right, we're going to whitelist all of Binance's wallets, we're going to whitelist this project, we're going to whitelist this project, but the rest of you have to pay your burn tax. Now, even though Binance is getting this whitelisting with their smart contracts and wallets, I did a transaction today through their system. I was still charged that burn tax. So it's very interesting to see if they are whitelisted. You know, they're not really playing ball. So, like I'm saying, it's a slippery slope. Once you do that, you're going to have to it's going to have to be optional at that point. Okay, you can't force it down everybody's necks if you're not forcing it down everybody's necks on a blockchain scale. So, you know, to increase chain utility and volume by whitelisting smart contracts does the complete opposite, because you'll just bring in greedy projects wanting to take, not wanting to give, you know, back to the system. And it's important that people give back to the system. If you're building on the system and you aim to utilize the community that is involved with that cryptocurrency that you are using, it really is that simple. So there's all these different things, and like I said, I agree with some of this but not all of it. And it, you know, these other signaling proposals and the optional features and everything like that, you're really going to have to go in and take a look yourself. A really good thing that you should utilize as a crypto holder if you don't like reading is the highlighting tool, which then you can just literally right click and it will read it to you. It's such a good tool for people who absorb better from listening rather than reading. And that goes down to what kind of learning abilities your mind better absorbs, right? Because some people are visual learners, some people are audio learners. You get what I'm saying, interactive learners. Now, increasing demand via staking by enhancing staking rewards. So this is all to do with the burn anti-handler to split the burn tax to the community pool. Rather than this, I propose to modify the burn anti-handler to split the burn tax to the distribution model instead. The majority of people are going to sit there and they're always going to be a bit confused by these things, but a good thing to do is to go onto the Terra Station FAQ and you can literally just like search words, just like Googling. You can even find references where it's used simply in the FAQ, and this FAQ is huge. Make sure you utilize it, make sure you use it to your advantage as best as you can. So they're going to basically increase the demand via staking by enhancing staking rewards, meaning they're going to more or less change the distribution model, which already splits 50% of the proceeds with the CP by splitting the burn tax with the distribution model instead of the CP. Stakers also stand to benefit, thus creating a broader alignment with the community, increasing demand for staking and for LUNC. And they're saying it's already been discussed here, and we'll take a little look at this because, like I've been saying, this is a signaling proposal. I actually looked through this one previously, and this is something that Edward Kim has gone over. So do remember that, instead of just sort of going, no, I don't like one thing in it.
Get off my land! Get off my property! Leave me alone!
Do your own research, have a look where they're getting their ideas from, because we've always spoken, haven't we, about people getting ideas from people's ideas. It's just as simple as that. So you can also see it again there. So the second one is to increase developer funding by increasing community pool funding, and this is all going to come down to the most basic thing: tax. Tax is going to be increased if these things are to happen. And I know this involves some kind of DEX. It involves the pushing of some kind of DEX, which is a little bit tricky. Any kind of DEX is tricky because they all require liquidity to run, meaning that liquidity's got to come from somewhere. Like it is, they normally sell a coin. If you look at Pancake Swap, they would, going all the way back, I wasn't around them, but they likely sold, their Pancake coin or whatever it's called. So they're going to be decreasing the supply by increasing burns. Now, this is a no-brainer for anyone. If you want to just simply keep a community happy and sustain, because everything comes down to kind of like this developer standpoint where they just see burning as, like I've shown you guys before, going in your garden and just burning cash. That's how they see it. They don't see it for the way that the impact it has on the crypto community. SHIB has built itself off burning. The amount of articles you see pushing SHIB burns, and a lot of people are just unaware of how many coins there are. But the good news still works. It still has an effect and it still plays its role. Now, on a grander scheme of things, we just don't have as many coins as them to burn through. So if we bring the correct, because you can tax and tax and tax as much as you want, but you need to bring that utility in for those taxes.
T-bills amortized over the fiscal year. 8% in stocks and bonds. Carry the 9 divided by the gross national product.
To, not be in a situation where you're just taxing the life out of the actual heart, the thriving, beating heart of the community. People are just going to get disinterested. They're going to walk away, and eventually there'll just be no one interested with this coin anymore. So it's all food for thought, and I know I always say that, but it really is. You've got to really think about where all of this is going to go, and then thinking, where are they going to get this from? And it's the same as governments. Governments, they'll tax everything and anything that they can. Normally they tax all of the really fun things that us adults enjoy doing, but that is just life. But if we are to see these kind of increases in burns to decrease the supply, then something's got to happen, because previously, before I went away, there was only 3 projects building sustainably in the environment, and I haven't really checked in on any of them, so I don't know how they're going now. But everything takes time. But you're seeing this kind of development elsewhere at the moment, and you've got kind of good stuff here like right now, which is all stuff that we can focus on as a community, and actually something that we can understand. Doesn't involve artificial intelligence, doesn't involve a 6-month expedition which will run us dry at the end, and we'll just have to see where it leads us. So I want to see these more small sustainable steps which are going to get us to better places, and instead of trying to take these real long runs, let's take these short, sustainable, smart steps. So like I was saying at the beginning, increasing chain utility and volume by whitelisting smart contracts, it would kind of work, but at the same time, it completely sets a bad example. It's not going to get us anywhere in the long run. It might provide some short-term kind of stuff, but that's not what we want. We're all here for the long run. We need to go for things. And I know it's contradictory what I just said, but with things like this, which is a small decision, a very small decision, very simple decision to make, which has huge long-term effects if played right in a correct manner, and it can all come out positive or negative, and it's just down to how things go and the way that we move forward with this. But I just don't think whitelisting smart contracts is a good move, because then you've got to provide that optional whitelisting for everybody, because otherwise it becomes this kind of like, well, we get to decide who gets whitelisted and who doesn't get whitelisted.
Well, who's in charge here?
Because we have to do the work, and it becomes very, very a sketchy area, a slippery slope, as I've been saying. So this is really something to absorb, I think. This has gone up 2 days ago. There's obviously been other things that they've spoken about during this time, and other things that have been going on. Like I said, I've just got back into the swing of things, so I may be behind on a lot of things. There may be things that I'm missing, and you guys are saying, well, we've discussed this elsewhere. I totally get that, but just trying to get us back up to date and where things are going. Like I was saying, this is more my kind of movement at the moment, and instead of crushing something like this and just simply going, no, this is a bad idea, we should elaborate on these sorts of things. And Defunct's been around for a while. Anybody can do their own research to figure out a little bit more in depth about the proposer, what they stand for, and stuff like that. But it just seems affordable right now for us as a community, and the everyday person needs to feel like they are involved in this and they understand where this is going, because a lot of times people see this, oh, it's really intelligent, it's a great idea, the person behind they're absolutely 10/10, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that somebody else's idea is not a good idea, if that makes sense. If we look at when Luna has made their most recent decision, they had a choice of going on an expedition, which was kind of actually similar to what Ed's proposing. You can go and look at that, or to follow the whole route with Feather and, where we're at now. And they decided to follow the route where we're at now. And that's panned out really well for them, because that expedition would have been very costly, wouldn't have ended up with this new system for them and all of these different kind of new tools that they're bringing forward for the blockchain. And because we're involved in this on an IBC scale, it really did help us out. So really looking forward to this. I have seen a tweet recently, I think I may be able to get it up. Yeah, so there's going to be a version release of the next station, so to speak, which is good. Hopefully they're going to get the station web system upgraded with the ledger. If your ledger system's not working, or you're struggling with your ledger, just simply use the Terra station extension system, connect your ledger through that. I had the same problem earlier. I think it was late last night, and I managed to get over it by simply just using that and going that route. You may need to refresh a couple of times if you get a send error, but hopefully this update gets us over that. Folks, wherever you are in the world, have a lovely morning, stay safe, beware of scammers, beware of doppelgangers. It's so important. There's so many of these just kind of like scumbags out there. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.